Ladies and gentlemen, I have your attention. We're going to begin the meeting of the Sheboygan City Council, February 10, 2025. We have a pledge allegiance to the flag and a short prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to begin the meeting. We have one or two things that have to be announced before we can proceed and so forth. I just want to say, why am I doing this is because Mayor Ulrich is out of town. Spoke to me a little while ago and was running far behind and wasn't going to be able to make this. So he got me.
Excuse me. Does that speaker work? I can hardly hear you. Thank you.
How's that?
That's bad.
All you gotta do is ask.
I did.
You know that, Let's do the roll call. Mr. Gittens?
Here.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Here.
Mrs. Moyer is on the telephone and participating by that route. Mrs. Moyer?
Here.
Mr. Kaler?
Here.
And Mayor Ulrich is absent. So we have, what, four, Mr. Greco?
3 present, 1 by telecommunications, 1 absent.
Very good.
At this point, it would be appropriate to appoint a temporary chair.
Yes. With the absence of the current mayor and Mrs. Moyer out of town, we're going to appoint a temporary chairperson to do this part of the meeting. And that person, after having discussed this with Mr. Kaler,
Is there a motion to appoint a temporary chair?
I'll make the motion.
And who would that be?
I'll make the motion to appoint Mike Duganitz to be the temporary chair. Done. So.
okay. On the question? No, proceeding. Councilman Duganitz?
Yes. You're not getting my bucket.
Councilman McLaughlin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Moyer?
Yes.
Councilman Kaler?
Yes.
And Mayor Ulrich is absent, so. Go ahead and proceed, Mr. Pepper.
Mr. Duganitz under presentation.
Can I just sit here?
Sure. Going to gavel?
Oh, no. I think I'm loud enough.
It's a little cheaper if you sit there.
Just use your phone.
I use my phone.
Mr. Slade, any presentations?
Yes, at this time, we are going to change the tone. Usually, presentations are for the little ones who are being recognized in the community and so forth. And this time, this is for one of the big ones being recognized, and that is one of Shamokin's police officers who is being promoted to detective in the city police department. So with that said, I will swear him in since I am a notary, and this isn't by my position where I live, so. Mr. Busco?
Chief and family.
Is it my family to come up to
Your family.
Just watch one.
Yes.
Should we swear this little person? About the future mayor of Shamokin?
Just send them.
Just.
Yes.
There you go, Brenda. Should you start with
Beautiful.
Yep. Thank you.
Isn't she lucky? Okay, let's do it.
Mr. Slavy, could you face this way?
Turn around. So you can see all
So
of it.
everybody can see.
Like sideways, Bob.
There we go.
There's a.
He is sideways. That is sideways.
Brookfield.
Okay?
Yeah.
You okay, Chief? Okay. Okay. Repeat after me, raise your right hand. Okay, this is the oath of office for the position of detective, okay? Repeat after me. I, Benjamin J. Busco,
I, Benjamin J. Busco,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of detective
of detective
in the Shamokin Police Department
in the Shamokin Police Department
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
If you want to, sneak up and get a picture.
Anybody want pictures?
Sneak up.
Okay, if you want more pictures, come on.
Go ahead.
You're in the middle of everybody's picture.
One person on that side, and now I like you. Beautiful. Very nice. Congratulations.
Yeah. It is
Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
So.
Only one person.
Yes, yes.
Okay, bids,
No bid, sir.
no bids, correspondence.
No, not unless somebody from the council has anything. Okay, no, sir.
Okay, citizens' comments contingent upon business listed in the agenda. If you could come up, state your name.
I have prepared remarks because I know everyone's time is valuable. My name is Bob Sandry. I'm a lifelong resident of Shamokin, and my wife and I have lived here on Lincoln Street for the past 40 years. where we've raised our 4 children. Our families on both sides have called this area home since the 1800s. I'm a retired union carpenter and a member of Mother Cabrini Church. I've voted in every election possible, and I try to be selectively involved in the local community as much as I am able. I've never been involved in politics, assuming that our representatives are selected at the polls and in hopes that those elected will act in the electorate's best interest until the next election. I've never felt compelled to attend a city council meeting until tonight. I'm here to speak in opposition of the proposed ordinance 2025-1. I doubt that anyone in this body composed this document. It reads as if it was copied and pasted from a guide for a sanctuary city. Section 1 states that the city recognizes the complex nature of homelessness while failing to explain what this recognition entails. It next states commitment to provide services to said non-residents. The subsections compel the city to provide a humane alternative to criminalization of homelessness and to promote policies focused on housing first. Section 4-A actually mentions accommodations provided by the city and access to basic amenities. I admire anyone who feels compassion for the less fortunate. That's what most of us are taught from an early age. However, I reject the notion that this is the responsibility of government. Compassion is the purview of the family and, more broadly, the church. I'm proud of our hometown, but considering the current burden of its financial straits, I believe adoption of this ordinance can only add to our misfortune by obligating the city to provide services to non-residents that we can ill afford, and it can only make matters worse for our taxpayers. Please do not approve this poorly worded ordinance. Table it for more thoughtful review. Thank you. Anyone else?
We can address it. We can address it now. If you'd like to, or me. Would you like me to address it?
Solicitor Greco, could you clarify?
Yeah, please.
Sir, thank you for your comments regarding the ordinance. Yes, thank you. And I certainly think that council is taking your comments as they should. And I think part of the reason that council has been looking to adopt something, it's primarily to prohibit encampments, peak vagrancy that plagues other areas, including the city of Shamokin. So we try to specify and capture areas that potentially could lead to encampments or individuals who are homeless. Certainly it is an issue not only in the city of Shamokin, throughout North Cumberland County, and also the country. But I think it's important that we also prohibit the activities that we outline in this ordinance, because the ordinance that we had in effect prior to even contemplating this, I think was 50 years old, maybe even longer than that. So council directed me to draft something that would really, and I hate to use criminalization of it, but to prohibit individuals from, sleeping out on sidewalks or in their vehicles, to try to protect the integrity of the city. We certainly don't want individuals to say there's nothing that prohibits me from sleeping down by the 9/11 monument or elsewhere on city-owned property. So I think that is the reason behind trying to adopt something. We had a one paragraph ordinance or prohibition, which was very inadequate for our needs. On the same token, I think we're also trying to get community involvement to help address the homeless and to take them in. I think we just had a code blue not too long ago, and an area facility opened up their doors to allow those that were less fortunate in. And I think that's the type of community support that we're looking at, to say, if you're homeless, there are options available to you. Working with Central Susquehanna Opportunities to work with the organization that opened up their doors. But I just wanted to give you some background as to why, because what we had was wholly inadequate to address any needs. And we just can't cite somebody for laying on next to the 9/11 memorial without something to back it up. So again, I really appreciate your comments. I can't speak for council, but that's just some background.
I do have a question for Mr. Sandry. Is that okay?
Sure.
Mr. Sandry, and I'm not sure, section 4A that you mentioned, you said about the city going to offer emergency shelter. That's not what 4A reads to me, okay? That's basically saying emergency shelter and temporary housing is, we are not going to force this ordinance on someone that was doing emergency shelter and temporary housing. That's the way I'm reading that, am I?
That's correct.
Okay, so we, the city, are not providing that, okay? It's basically saying that we are not going to enforce the ordinance on someone that was doing a code blue or was going to set up a homeless shelter during the winter. That's the way I read 4A. I'm sure everybody can interpret it differently, but I just wanted to make sure. I don't see the city taking any responsibility there. It's more that we're not going to enforce the rules on someone that's in a legitimate shelter that we recognize. And correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's correct, Mr. McLaughlin.
And I missed the other one, Bob, that you mentioned. What was the other section that?
I'm not an attorney, so therefore, I'm not even going to pretend that I can make a bona fide legal interpretation of this proposed ordinance. However, my reaction to the whole thing is the council, as I read this ordinance, is proposing to legislate compassion. And I don't think government belongs in that ballpark, period. I don't see how the particular wording of this ordinance does anything to protect the residents of this city that are going through a difficult financial situation currently. That's all. I'm not aware.
Yep, no, I'm just trying to clarify what your questions were, because I want to make sure we address it, that's all.
I think, not being an attorney, again, I think that the ordinance could be read that the city is going to become obligated to do something for a homeless person. Now, if someone feels compassion for another person that's less fortunate, great, bring them into your home. Find some place for them to stay, but to put an additional financial burden onto the city, I think is misguided. That's all.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly on that, but I am not reading this way. And I'm gonna punt to our legal counsel on responsibility.
It certainly was not drafted to require the city to take any action to open their own homeless shelter or use tax dollars. If you read it it talks about prohibited acts in section 3, and then it says in section 4 that this ordinance shall not apply to individuals residing in emergency shelters. And it just says, okay, there's certain exceptions where it doesn't apply. Then enforcement and penalties, it says the encouragement of voluntary compliance. So we're not saying we're going to house them, we can make certain allowances. But I think, with all due respect, that was not the intent, and I don't think that's within the plain meaning of this ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Any other citizens' comments?
Hi, my name is Brenda Walsh. I live at 300 block of Pine and 6th Street. I have a restricted parking area, and it just seems like I can't park in there. I can't park in the area because as I'm trying to parallel park.
If I can, what you were talking about, I don't see it on this agenda. So there,
Oh,
Right, you'll be able to speak,
oh,
but it
okay.
won't be till the second part of it.
Oh, okay, I didn't know I
That's
got
fine, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, the first part is anything that's listed on the
Oh,
agenda,
Okay,
and then after that, it's anything else.
okay.
Okay?
So on the same ordinance, I mean, you guys, with the discussion, I've kind of got my head going too, from the standpoint of who decides?
State your name.
My name's Jesse Storm. Who decides if they're considered homeless or not? Because you have a lot of through hikers hiking trails, Appalachian Trail, through hikers coming up through to some of the other northern trails that are coming through the community that will stop along the roadsides and things like that and stay the night while they're on their journey and their trek. So who is determining whether somebody is homeless under this article?
If you look at the definition sections, homelessness, a person who lacks a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence, including those living in shelters, transitional housing, or places not meant for human habitation. Vagrancy, the condition of an individual who is physically present in public spaces without visible means of support or lawful purpose. Encampment. So I believe we have a very broad definition. Somebody passing through, certainly as you described, I don't think would catch anyone's attention, but it doesn't criminalize them. Certainly if an officer said, "What are you doing?" and they said, camping or passing through, I don't think they're going to be cited. And if you look at this, the first warning is a verbal warning. So it's not like they're gonna be handcuffed and thrown in jail if we encounter an individual like that.
Okay, and then where do we move to, if, let's say we do have a local individual who is homeless and they're known to be homeless in the area, and they've been here for 2-3 months, they get arrested and then they start breaking into vacant houses and staying inside of vacant houses so they're not out in public, and then that's where our fires come from and things like that, like we've had here in the city quite a few times over the past several years, where vacant houses get broke into. Our police have trouble with charging them with trespassing the first 2 or 3 times. And I've dealt with that myself with vacant properties while we're in the middle of tenant changeovers and things like that. House is open for a couple of weeks while we're waiting for code enforcement to be inspected and things. And somebody breaks in, and some of our officers are very stern with them and will basically arrest them if need be. But then we have other officers that are more compassionate and tell them, "Hey, you got to go, get your things, and you got to go." And then 4 hours later, they're back in the house again. It becomes a big issue. So if we're doing this and we're not providing someplace for them to go, now they're breaking into houses and taking shelter in homes that are vacant. And then we wind up with fires. And as we all know, vacant houses don't generally carry fire insurance.
thank you, Mr. Stern.
Joe Lashinsky, 5 Case Pine. I see on the agenda there's a section for the establishing the city treasurer's salary starting January 26th. One, did we come up with a number for that? And two, if that number is approved, from what I understood, as it goes now, you've never gotten paid as a treasurer. You've gotten paid as the tax collector, right?
That is correct.
So would the treasurer then assume the same responsibilities
Yes.
as the tax collector? And would they receive then a double salary, or how would that work? Or would it be
Yes.
one combined? They would get both.
Sunbury does, and
Okay.
DCED specifically said apples to apples. Sunbury's treasurer gets paid as treasurer. I do 2 jobs.
Right. That's why I was
And
asking. Is
also
that,
as tax collector, a third from the city, a third from the county, and a third from the school district. It's a lot of work. I was happy with the bill fee and tax certification. And so were 50 years worth of treasurers prior to me.
right.
But since they took that away, third class cities code states the treasurer shall, which means must, receive a pay.
And
They
just
should have
to,
left me alone.
just to answer your question, there's not been a salary established. Council's going to discuss that, and
It has to be done tonight because it must be by legislature done before February 15th. Because there's an election coming. So anybody that would want to run for election needs to know what their wage would be.
And then if that's what the ordinance says, then
That's
You-
third class city code
you
says.
have, or the code, you haven't been compensated then as,
No, I have not been.
how would that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't just understand, like, I'm just asking questions. And I just think with the financial issue going on here, and I mean, you can't bank on November. You know, so what exactly if we're gonna add, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but you're gonna add another
It's wrong.
salary,
It's
right?
wrong.
Right now, we're gonna add another salary onto the books.
Not for this year.
No, not for this year, but for next
For
year.
whoever does the
Yeah.
budget next year, yes.
Right, and whether November passes or don't pass, that's really not affected because it's gonna have to be paid
Correct.
anyway, so if, let's just play devil's advocate, it doesn't pass, well, then where do we get the money for that? Where do we get the money for the rise in, I mean, regardless.
No, you're absolutely right.
Right.
Where is the money going to come from?
Gonna have to cut somebody else's pay.
That's what I'm saying, so, and that's, I mean, that's fine.
Unless we approve the charter, which we
Right.
possibly.
So like, and
They're
even
still
like,
gonna need
I
to
just
pay.
seem to always like kind of find it hard to believe that like,
Yeah.
over the years, like, police money increases, MMO increases, salaries increase, all that. And we always hear, we don't have the money, we don't have the money, we don't have the money, but we always seem to find the money for those things that we have to take care of. So it's like, is there an influx of money somewhere where like we can, you know, move some things, or is it just
Somebody
being
can show
advertised as
me
we have done?
where, I'll be glad to look at it. I'll be
I'm
glad
just
to
saying.
show it to those councilmen there,
Well,
to the councilman over here, to the treasurer.
I'm not saying nobody's wrong, but I'm saying is we're always advertising, we have no money, we have nothing. But then in one aspect, like, we give money away, we give raises, we give all, and I
well,
get
I
it.
feel with
But-
Gatsby's new law, the accounting standards, cities being able to use debt service for leasing things is going to open up using debt service a lot more than the general fund. And therefore, I really feel that the city will have the money. I really do.
That's, I didn't know, if, like, back to my original, like, I didn't know if it was like established yet or not, on what it would be. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Walker.
Again, just following up on.
We were discussing allowing people to come up and speak in regards to the ordinance that Mr. McLaughlin, I believe, has right here.
Yes, that one was,
Now,
On the
also,
agenda.
but it's on the agenda, salary.
Yep.
How long are we gonna continue? He did have an opportunity to speak.
And I'm following up in regards to the comments that were just made on,
you had your opportunity to speak. You spoke about the homeless ordinance, you should have said. in
Great,
addition,
then
I'd like to,
I'd like to speak on behalf of the Jesse Storm Team LLC, which owns property in the city of Shamokin and pays taxes. Or maybe the MMS Group LLC, I'll speak on behalf of them, since I'm shareholder
you're
of the
you're a
LLC.
citizen, you're one person, you had your 3 minutes, you could speak at the end of the meeting.
Is the job a part-time job that we're looking to pay for?
No,
How can one person do 2 full-time jobs then?
I've done it for 18 years.
Okay.
All right. Moving along with more citizen comments. Motion to accept the minutes of the City of Shamokin Council meeting of January 13th, 2025, to the regular council meeting.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
On the question, Mr. Duganez,
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin,
Yes.
and Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
4 yeas, 1 absent.
Motion to approve the bills from January 2025 as listed on the bill list.
So moved.
I'll second it. I'm second. I have too many lists. So just a couple questions that I wasn't sure of. Labory loss, listener fee for October 2024.
That is a lawsuit that was filed against the city, has been ongoing through our insurance carrier. What you see there is deductible.
Okay,
That's a deductible.
parking permit refund due to termination of employment.
Well,
She was fired a week after she paid for the whole year.
okay.
We have the letter of termination,
We got verification, we were able to confirm with the employer that her employment ended.
So that's something we've done in the past.
Yes, for not only people losing their jobs, and that is usually the case, but it's a temporary thing
Okay,
that we have taken care of in the past.
okay. And then Univest Bank, the 2024 non-uniform GASB report credit.
That's the preparation of the GASB, I think 68, should say on
I
there.
think so. Is that yes, it's-
68,
Yeah.
yes, 68.
Yeah, that is prepared by Guard Commissioners.
Okay. They were my questions.
Okay, any other questions? Can we proceed? Okay. Mr. Duganez?
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Ms. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Kaler?
Okay, let's say,
Okay. And Mr. Olaf is absent. You have 3 yeas and 2 abstentions. Or I'm sorry, 1 abstention and I'm absent. Okay, Mr. Duganez?
Okay, director's reports, accounts and finances.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Duganez. I've asked Treasurer Scandal to read, since I'm not present in the room, I thought it would be a little clearer if she would go ahead and do that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, I will. Total general fund balance as of February 1st, 2025, $878,238.51. Total motor license balance, $162,306.65. Library, $205,442.63. Total sinking fund 1 balance, which is our debt service, $125,965.92. Total sinking fund 2, which is recreation, $266,063.76. Total street lighting fund, $7,941.38. The American Legion balance, $1,537.37. Total neighborhood mitigation fund, $31,804.93. Total code department credit cards, $8,268. Total police department credit cards, $1,915.26. For a balance total of $1,689,474.41. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Moyer. Any other?
Yes, thank you very much, Mrs. Campbell, I appreciate it. I don't have anything additional, for council, thank you, Mr. Duganez.
Parks and public buildings, I do not have anything yet because it's been very slow right now, well, it's winter time, so. But I do want to, on a note, thank the firefighters again this past week. Our firefighters, our fire police were down on Shamokin Street, and boy, that could have been a bigger disaster, but they hit it hard, and I know it was rough, but we have the top-notch, best volunteers in this area when it comes to the firefighters and fire police. And especially even our own police, what a phenomenal job they've been doing. They were the first responders to that fire call, and I hear that they put out another fire before the fire trucks even got here on Lincoln Street. Our guys, we can't ask for better people that are helping us in this city. That being said, I was talking to Mr. Keeler and Mr. McLaughlin before, and we need to help our volunteer firefighters. We really do. When they went down there to that fire, they go inside the box, they have junior firefighters, they open up the box to get gloves out, and all they can find were 2 left-handed gloves for the firefighters. I mean, just these small things. I wish the city could help us, help me or call Barry, call Mike, any council member. If you can come up with an idea to raise some money for these fire departments, because I'm telling you, they need it. They really need it. So I'm pleading with the public, please support the firefighters, the fire police also. And that's all I have. Okay, streets and public improvements. Mr. McLaughlin.
So I will most certainly echo Councilman Duganez's words on the fire department and the police department. And I will also say anything that we can do, please, if anybody's listening, get us a list of whatever the needs are and let us try to figure out how to get help to the fire department. I have no issue with that at all. I know that's not my part of it, but at the same time, anything we can do, I'll do anything I can to help. On the streets and public improvements, we finally did get our loads of salt today. So that was getting hairy for a bit, but we did get 3 loads of salt today, so we're in good shape, and there's more coming yet this month. So we should be in good shape for the most of the winter. The street department, they quite a few breakdowns over this weekend with that ice. They struggled today to get caught up on repairs and street sidewalks, but they did, for the most part, got them done. It was icy, unfortunately, so it didn't get done as well as I'd like to see it. But at the same time, unfortunately, with the manpower we have and the equipment we have, we're a little bit behind the 8 ball on that one. So we are trying, and we will continue to keep trying on that side of it. And I believe that's it for me.
Thank you, sir. Public safety.
Okay. So we're gonna start with the code enforcement office monthly report. The rental revenue is $9,200. Rental registrations is $9,125. Vacant properties, 75. Parking permits, 27,825. Other permit, 6,582. Dumpster permits, 275. Third-party inspector, 1,407. Mechanical devices is 4,870. Zoning hearing variance, 30. Code violations is 32. So the total revenue collected is $43,639. Complaints addressed, 134. Code tickets issued, 21. Notices of violations sent is 45. Citations written is 39. Landlord inspection complete is 7. Posted unfit is 5. Fire calls is 5. Warnings is 21. For the fire report, building fire is 4. Cooking fire confined to containers 2. Fire burner boiler malfunction fire confirmed is 3. Medical assistance is 1. Motor vehicle accident with injuries is 4. Motor vehicle pedestrian accident is 1. Motor vehicle accident with no injuries is 1. Gasoline or other flammable liquid spill is 1. Gas leak, natural gas or propane is 3. Oil or other combustion liquid spill is 2. Carbon monoxide incident is 2. Electrical wiring equipment problem is 3. Power line down is 2. Arcing short electrical equipment is 1. Water problem, 5. Water evacuation is 5. Water or stream leak is 2. Smoke or odor removal is 4. Good intent call is 1. Dispatched or canceling route is 4. Smoke detector activation due to malfunction is 1. Smoke detector activation no fire is 2. Detector activation no fire is 1. For a total of 55 calls. This is something they're trying different, so yeah, bear with me a little bit on it. But yeah, and I just wanted to echo these guys with the cops over. They put that fire out on right down here on Lincoln Street before the fire trucks even got there. So I definitely want to thank Ray and his guys for all they do, and that's about all I got.
One question, what's good intent?
Public service.
Okay.
Right, Bruce? Yeah.
Okay, controller.
Nothing for to be acted upon tonight, Councilman Devine, but I would like to report for the public that the 2023 audit has been completed, and I would like to thank Brenda, Barbara, Bob, and Val, and anyone involved in the accounting or finance departments of the city. You get an A+ because the city's accounts are in order.
Thank you, Mr. Cahill.
Treasurer's report.
I have nothing.
Nothing? Okay, chief.
Excuse me, a couple things. Number one, we'll start with the report for January. Juvenile petitions were 1, criminal arrests were 30, non-traffic citations were 4, traffic citations were 13, parking tickets issued 175, parking citations 1, code tickets 8, total CAD calls from the county 607, total calls for the department 1,071 with 3,583 miles logged. Everybody should have a copy of that, correct?
Yes.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Second thing is, I just want to thank the mayor who's not present, Mr. Slavy and council for the promotion of officer, now Detective Busco. He deserves it. He does very, very well for us. Very, very complex and to the point. He's very good. And on the good bit of things that we're looking ahead, Our last detective is present today, and that was our last detective our department had until this evening with Detective Busco being sworn in office. So it's been a long time. We went without a detective, and the way things are progressing, we need them to handle the more major caseload. On the other part of it, I had the opportunity to talk to Councilman Kaler. And I do want to express to our volunteers again, these guys and gals do a great job. That's number one. Number two, on behalf of the police department and doing the fire investigations, I can't thank Bruce, the chiefs of the department, and a special thank you to the Rescue Host Company. We've had 2 fires in 2 weeks. They brought equipment over to help me investigate the fire. I mean, some guys took off work. Some guys stayed overnight and stayed up with us to help. I can't express the thanks enough to these guys for what they do, and they are volunteers. That's fantastic. Also, again, you know, I'll point out my guys and gals every chance I have, and Councilman Kaler and I had a long discussion about this, and just the point of them being recognized is good enough for them. That's just the caliber of people we have. They know the job they do. I try to remind them every day of the job they do. And I said it before, I'll say it again. We have a great group of people at that department. I'm very proud of each of them. So on to the bad news. Council this evening will have to accept the resignation of Officer Travis Minnick. It's going to be effective February 18th. It's bittersweet. Officer Minnick was a phenomenal police officer with us. Very, very good. A lot of specialty work he did. I'm going to miss him dearly. I really am. However, on the other part of things, the career path he's taking is still in law enforcement. It is going to be out of state. I don't want to put out where he's going because I don't want to jeopardize his new job. But all I can tell the council is, I know I am proud that someone from our department is moving on to this position. And that's the most I have to say. He's going to be sadly missed. So with that, we'll probably, council have to introduce a motion to accept his resignation, which I actually forgot it. But other than that,
What is the date, Chief?
February 18th would be his effective date.
That's next week.
Do you want that done now, Chief?
I believe it's going to have to be done.
Well, we could put it as number 16
Okay.
under new business. It wasn't on the agenda, but it doesn't.
I apologize. I just got it, and
No,
so I apologize for
I'm
that.
just saying, we're not expending any money. It's not an issue because it wasn't published on the agenda. It's not an indentured servant, so.
Also, one more thing. I thanked him. Kevin came over today and got our station on ice. It was a mess in our parking lot, but he came through. He got all the ice up for us, salted it for us. I can't thank him enough. I know he was busy. I felt bad calling him, but our parking lot was a sheet of ice. So thank you to Kevin. I think he knows I told him about 10 times already.
So, Chief, who's responsible for that?
You're already there. I don't mean to answer it, but I've been there this before with members of council asking those questions, Mike.
Okay. So,
Let's put it this way, since I can remember, we shovel our payments, we solve our payments. The street department helps us if we're stuck. I know Mr. Kaler's helped us on several occasions to push the snow out of the road. I understand it's RDA, but like today, the way it all started was we were out trying to shovel the parking lot and just couldn't move the ice. That's where we had to call for Kevin to come over and give us a hand. But
is that spelled out in the lease?
I think so. I will look for you.
Please, we need to clarify that, and if we need to send a letter stating that, we need to do that.
Send a bill.
Okay.
Let's just start with the letter, but at the same time, whoever's responsibility is it, it shouldn't be falling back on the police. Number one, it should not be falling back on the street department. I mean, I have no issue with Kevin helping at all, but at the same time, responsibility is responsibility. It needs to go to who is technically responsible for that job, not.
Because if, on the other hand, is we can't get a hold of Kevin either. We've been buying rock salt out of our pockets. Because we try to go back and fill a bucket up with salt if we can. But understand your uniform made it turn out to be a mess. So we've been pitching in and buying rock salt out of our pocket to throw rock salt out.
Yes, the same with me. If you can't get a hold of Kevin, let me know.
Yeah, and it's not that we can't get a hold of him. I just don't like, I don't want to go nosy around the pit if I can't get a hold of him, let him know we're taking a bucket. But Kevin's normally good with this.
Mr. McLaughlin,
Yes.
under the lease, under section 6.0, maintenance of grounds, leaseor, which is the RDA shall be responsible for snow removal and maintenance of the grounds of the leased premises and shall reimburse, leasing shall reimburse leaseor for the program share of those expenses within 30 days of the receipt of the bill by leasing from the leaseor. So we're entitled to,
Snow.
yeah, correct.
Okay. So we're gonna need to draft a letter and say,
Bill,
that we need to clarify who's taking, and there has to be set responsibility. There needs to either be a contractor that's paid to be there, but it can't be.
Mr. Greco, communicate with the solicitor.
Yep, we can't do this on a whim. With that, it's too important. Number one, our police need to be able to get in and out of that facility, so we most certainly need to address that.
High speed.
Yeah.
not only that, there's people going in and out of there.
Oh, yeah.
And
Okay.
being that the city is also liable for that loan,
What would you do next?
somebody falls there, who are they gonna sue?
I do not.
Are they gonna sue the city or are they gonna sue the RDA? And it's gonna fall back on the city.
They're the ones that don't deserve it.
No, it's most certainly, we need to get our ducks in a row on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Sheetakov.
Tanya, do you want to go first? It's up to you. You want me to go? Sure. All right, I'll go. Hello, council. Thank you so much. So as I mentioned at our workshop meeting, just to let you know, none of the grant projects that we have are at all affected with whether there's going to be a pause, not pause, whatever. We were waiting, thank you very much for the audit team. We were waiting for the audit for 2 grants, and the LSA one for the fire truck. That's already come through. We don't have the money yet, but Brenda is on your agenda tonight to vote in favor of Brenda opening up an account. So normally I'm not one to say like, please vote for that, but please vote for that. So just saying.
Yes.
But thank you to everybody. We're still waiting for the HUD contract, so hopefully now that we have the audit, that'll come through quickly. I was hoping to have a good answer for you tonight, but I don't. Thank you all to the amount of public that came out for the Safe Streets for All and Independent Street Makeover. I know a lot of people are saying, when's that actually gonna happen? So phase 1 for the Independent Street Makeover will be out for bid by August of this year. So this will be a pretty quick moving grant project, I should say. Then I've already applied for phase 2, which I put in last fall. I'll be asking your permission to put in for phase 3 or phase 2 if we're not successful with phase 2. Within the next couple months for CFA multimodal, and we'll just keep asking for more money till we have it funded. For the Safe Streets for All, the planning grant, they're working on the draft now. That should be sent to a council next month sometime. As soon as I have it, you will all get it. And the federal highway transportation, they're also going to review it at the same time as you, but you will all have an option to review that thoroughly before you vote on it. It won't be plopped to you and then say you have to vote on it that night. You'll have time to review it. Also, what's going on with the comprehensive plan? Right now, it is in the hands of the steering committee. They have until the end of this week to review it, to offer any edits. Then it comes to you all. you all take charge of that. So what happens is generally, the council then asks the planning committee to also review it. So I'm going to suggest that you ask your planning committee to review it, then it comes back to you after they have a time to look at it, and then you can approve that or make any comments. So that's how that works. But once again, it's your call. This is not a CEDACOG project. I'm just helping coordinate. And that is pretty much the most right now. So I'll let Justin talk a little bit about the the Claude Taylor Volunteer Park project and the bridge feasibility study that's getting worked on. And then I'll let Matt, do you have anything to share tonight, or?
The biggest thing is just with the MORE grant, but you know, as I mentioned in the workshop, Betsy and I will be looking at grant alternatives to offset the costs of a loan we might get. And so I'll be back in March to share what we have.
Yeah, and we've already been talking with DEP, just to exhaust all, we would just hate for you all to take a loan out for all of it, and then the very next month we find out, oh, we could have taken out a grant too, like to help them. So just letting you know, we're trying to make sure that we check all the boxes. And Justin, I'll let you, and then we'll go to Tanya.
The footbridge plan is nearing completion. There will be a draft ready in this month for everyone to review that's on the committee. I've started working on the Independence Day event. It's early yet, but I'm trying to, I don't want to say anything yet until it's concrete on what I want to do with that. But, and I also want to personally congratulate Officer Blisco on his promotion to detective. He is a great asset to the city of Shamokin. That's all I have.
Tanya, it's you.
Okay, so I put together just a small overview of projects that were underway with the CDBG funding. The street reconstruction is First Street from Independence to Water, Water between First and Third, and Walnut between First and Second. This one is going to be put on hold because of the water lines going through. So we are going to take the downtown street reconstruction and revise that, the 21 and 22 funds to do that first. So revisions will be coming through for that. West Commerce Street reconstruction that finished up. We have $5,000 for the code enforcement program, which I attached pages 2 and 3. And what that entails, what information we need to reimburse for code enforcement. But I just want to make mention that some of the things that we can pay through that program is hearings, the cost related to those, and or legal proceedings, staff salaries related to inspections and enforcements, relevant legal fees, and other miscellaneous direct costs. So there is quite a bit of paperwork that goes along with reimbursing for this. Which kind of is explained in here. If anyone has any questions after they go through it, feel free to reach out to me. Then we have the removal of blighted structures, phase 1 and phase 2. The removal of 13 blighted structures, 5 upon which we'll be voting on tonight, is going to be in phase 1. And so the removal of blighted structures, in order to cover all of these properties, we're going to have to revise that money into phase 1 for that as well. So also, I know at the work session, there were quite a bit of communication. I did attach the letter of probable costs so that you can see how the estimates were broken down, so that you all have that information. Thank you, Council.
Okay, question about the City of Shamokin code enforcement policies and procedures. Is this going into that, when we were at the Blight Task Force, I believe we were speaking of it, looking to pick up either more hours for the part-time code officer or looking into getting help for Bruce?
Correct.
And that's what this is all part of, correct?
Correct.
Trying to find the money to get this person.
You have money.
It's
You
just the
have money
paperwork.
available. What we need is the paperwork to reimburse or pay the part-timer.
Okay.
There is very specific paperwork that needs to be done. We need time cards and specific properties that the part-timer would be at during the hours that he's being paid for. It's doable. We do it in other communities. So absolutely doable. It's just getting a system together for it.
When can we need it like last year, so, you know, if we can get this ball rolling quickly, we'd love to do it. We need something, you know.
Definitely. And I made a recommendation before that actually $5,000 is just a small drop in the bucket. If we can get this program up and moving and maybe move some funds into it so that it's a further help to the city, we can definitely do that. I don't mind doing revisions.
May I
Thank
ask,
you.
may I ask a question? I know, well, CEDACOG's hungry. How much more could they add? Like, how much more could they shift into code office? Would it have to come out of the blight, like the demos, or could it come out of project funds?
It could come out of any of the project funds. So currently we put 30% towards demos of light. We have 70% basically in street reconstruction, which is something that the city needs.
Yes, of course.
So you would be taking out of one or the other. It's whatever the council would decide.
I have a question. I'm very confused by these, prices of demoing these structures, especially number 8.
So let me,
And 7, and 1. Like, oh my God.
So let me give you a little background on 8. If anyone's ever gone past 621 Bear Valley Avenue, it's basically in amongst row homes. So there is a shared dormer with 623 Bear Valley Avenue. So when you look at the property, it almost doesn't look like the 3rd floor is separated. We're not sure of that yet or not. But this property is going to have to be taken down by hand. We cannot get an excavator in there. It's too, yeah, it would, there's no way we can do it. There's too much at stake in taking down the other homes with it.
That's insane.
I suggested at the Blight meeting, maybe use some of these funds, maybe to acquire the adjoining ones, to see if these individuals would be interested in selling. And that may, although we have acquisition costs, it may lessen demolition costs. So would we be able to use those funds for acquisition?
CDBG funds can be used for acquisition, yes.
But I'm saying, so instead of having this little thing, if we could acquire 1 or 2 of the adjoiners, and again, just making an offer to these individuals that live there, maybe they'd be interested, maybe they wouldn't, but at least we could acquire these properties and maybe get a piece of equipment and to tear 3 of them down or 2 of them versus a hand,
Right.
using it by hand. So,
Right.
I mean, is that a possibility too?
It is a possibility.
And we could ultimately save money by acquisition.
Correct.
Especially if you look at item 4, there's 3 houses,
Right.
that's 17, and this one is.
To elaborate that on that though, 4 is already it's a fire property. There's little to nothing on the property. There's part of a basement. There's a block structure in the back, which we believe was probably a garage at one time. But those properties need minimum work. It's more taking out and leveling than anything else. But I can follow up with you Mr. Becker.
I'm just saying, maybe it would make sense to approach these neighbors to say, are you interested in selling the property to the city? And if you are, what amount would you be willing to sell for this? And use those to acquire the property. At least we're not trying to pick a needle out of that haystack.
Yeah, we most certainly have to do something different as opposed to just demo those properties. We've got to work out of the box on those.
Conversely, since it's CEDACOG time stuff, could they use the funds, could they ask if, not use the funds, could potentially one of the neighbors purchase the blighted property? I mean, we're talking about $126,000, even if they purchased it from the city for $20,000, you'd be ahead.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, I truly think that we just have to work on those two for sure separately and put our heads together on a different avenue aside from demolition and waterproofing and restoration, because that's absolutely ridiculous.
And these are estimates from our engineer. I've seen what demolition costs are coming in at right now. We had one not quite comparable to Bear Valley Avenue, but it had an adjoining house to it. It came in at a little under 30,000. So there could be a huge fluctuation of price, which is, why I agreed. It may not be a bad idea to just put them out there and see what it
Are
comes
we
out.
able to get other estimates, or we have to go with?
No, we haven't gotten, this was just an
No,
engineer's.
we're not, we are allowed to get other.
Yeah, you want to.
This is just a preliminary engineering estimate.
Right.
So we would bid these.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, these aren't set.
So these bids could come in a lot lower.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why, go ahead, I'm sorry.
And the way that we have the bid set up is the city has the opportunity to accept or deny any of the properties.
I believe you said that. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
So CEDACOG is done.
Yes.
That's correct.
And we went through AmeriCorps Vista, correct, Matt? New business.
Take them all together.
Well, I'll just go through them real quick so we know what we're doing here. Request a motion to authorize the treasurer to open a checking account. Shamokin City LSA fire truck for funds related to the LSA fire truck grant. Go ahead.
You want the motion then?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Question? Mr. Gaddis?
Yes.
Mr. McLeod?
Yes.
Mr. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Caleb?
Yes. 100 times yes.
Smack you silly.
40 days.
Request a motion to authorize the treasurer to open up a checking account, Shamokin City Police Shop with a Cop Christmas for funds related to Shop with a Cop charitable event.
Go ahead. I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
On the question, I believe that this is being done for better accountability.
Yes.
Mr. Gaddis?
Yes.
Mr. McLeod?
Yes.
Mr. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Caleb?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, request a motion to approve the demolition and or clearance of 203, 205, 209, 211, and 213 South 7th Street with Community Development Block Grants, CDBG funding.
There you go, let me take that part, I put it in the car.
I'll second the motion.
You made the motion?
I did.
So you need a second?
Yes.
Did Mike say?
Mike D did it.
Yeah, I'll second.
Mr. Dugannon, question?
Yeah,
I'm
I'm-
sorry.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
I do have a question on that one, only because those properties are on the list that we just got.
Correct.
So what are we actually approving?
It'll approve the demolition of those. So what had happened was we had properties, 1 through, well, these are kind of in a different order. 1, 5, 6, 7, and 8 were approved back in May. When we were discussing projects, we had one come off of our list, because it was sold through tax sale. And so I asked Bruce for the next group, and these were the properties that were provided to us. So if these aren't able to be done this time, I wanted to get the approval ahead of time. So if we have phase 2 or 3 coming for 2024, I just want to be ahead of the ballgame.
Well, here's my question on it. Have we advertised those yet for bids?
So those are going to be included with the bids this round.
Okay, so we're, really number 3 is just authorizing the bids,
Correct.
correct? But it says demolition and a clearance, so wouldn't that be more accurately stated that we're just authorizing the bidding of those? Or we're gonna act, because if the
But if
bids
you're
come in.
authorizing, sorry.
No, go ahead.
didn't mean to. If you're authorizing the bidding of it, that we already need the authorization to do the demolition before we can head into the bidding.
It sounds like the chicken and before the egg. I think don't you authorize the bidding and then look at them and then authorize the demolition?
No, because in order to be able to demolish it, we need the council's approval to have them on the list, because we have plenty of properties that council wants to demolish. And if we will put, I guess,
I guess what I'm coming to, so if all the bids come in at $500,000, council already made a motion to demolish it.
Correct. Yes, I'm not quite following that either. I would think we would be motioning to accept bids
Accept it.
on these. And then once we get the bids, we would then make the motion to pick and choose the ones we were gonna get.
I can reach out to DCED as to why they request a motion from council to demolish the properties before bidding. I'm not sure why that regulation is the way it is.
I mean, I could see the motion being contingent upon the bids, but to me, it seems like it's kind of reversed, but if you're telling us that's what they're requiring.
And if I may, the last time that we had a similar motion, it was the exact same language. I guess it's like slating them for demolition, you know?
I think that's what it is. It's a requirement by CDBG, which is very regulated. They tell you to the word what you need to put in these things.
Okay.
And I'm good with that. I just wanna make sure that we're all on the same page with how we're gonna proceed and how we can proceed. Because I wanna make sure we can pick and choose which ones, once we do go for bid.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, once the bidding comes in, they still have a chance to,
Accept it.
right, so, yeah, this is not the last you see this and you find out that it was approved for $500,000 to take now, so.
Still, the city still has a right to.
Exactly,
accept it.
right.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm good with
Thanks.
that.
Thank you.
That was my question.
And this is for items number 2, 3, and 4 on that paper. They really like the least amount of money, so I'm good with that. It's not like we're approving $126,000.
Okay, so you're on number 3 on our agenda.
Yes,
Okay, and,
that was on the question.
You had a motion, right, you had a motion in a second.
okay. Mr. Buchanan,
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin,
Yes.
Ms. Moyer,
Yes.
Mr. Kaler,
Yes.
The ayes have it. Now, Mike, you can probably go.
Yeah, I'm gonna
forward
do,
down to 15.
4 through 12 is requesting motions for Business Breakers Cigars, and then, on number 4. Number 5 is Cover Bridge. They're requesting a motion to approve their events from March to October on 4 through 12. So I'm just gonna, can I bunch them all together? Items number 4 through 12.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
There's, nothing's changed since the workshop. And again, these businesses that are requesting, they're all repeaters from previous years. And as I've said to you then, and I'll say it again, none of them have ever been a problem. They're very, very,
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
okay.
I'll second.
Very second.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Does anyone believe? Mr. DeGanis?
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Ms. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
The motion carries, 4 yeas. Go ahead, Mr.
Okay, item number 13, request a motion to approve Artisan Alley Rosalind King Day on April 26th, 2025, from 1 to 2 p.m. And that is going to be affecting the entire city of Shamokin, the outskirts. There are volunteers going around cleaning up that day.
I'll make the motion. No, I'll second.
Question that has always, from my standpoint, been very well attended by a whole lot of people here in the state of Shamokin. Mr. DeGanis?
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Ms. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
The ayes have it. Go ahead, Mr. DeGanis.
Okay, request a motion to approve Crazy Riders' 3rd annual Easter giveaway on April 20th, 2025 at Claude Keeler Park, starting at 12 p.m. while supplies last.
So moved.
I'll second.
Who seconded that? Any need for more discussion?
No.
Mr. DeGanis?
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Ms. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Okay, request a motion to approve Sabres Shamokin Warms My Heart event on April 19th, 2025, located at the Claude Keeler Park from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. with a rain date of April 26th, 2025.
I'll make the motion.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'll second.
Who seconded it?
Yeah, Mike and Mike.
Any need for more discussion? Mr. DeGanis?
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Ms. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
The motion carries unanimous.
Now, Mr. Greco, this is where I make a motion to accept the resignation of Officer Miller, item number 16, correct? Sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Request a motion to approve the resignation of Officer Minnick, effective February 18th of 2025.
I will make the motion with regrets.
Yes. Regrettably, I'll second.
Anybody else has any comments or want to discuss this matter?
Chief telling me he was an asset to us and he's really going to be missed. Please.
Yeah.
He's gonna be missed.
Okay, Mr. DeGanis?
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Ms. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Gaines?
No, on to unfinished business. Request a motion to establish an annual city treasurer's salary for the term beginning January 1st, 2026.
Some questions. Do we have any job description on this yet, on how many hours? And what actually, and I'm not picking, I'm just asking. The hours that are gonna be involved in this, that we can actually make a sensible decision on what the salary should be.
Full-time position.
Excuse me, but that was going to be part of my comment as well. Do we have a job description? Do we have parameters, requirements, and so forth?
Okay, not to be rude, but mayor and council, have known this was coming for a year. Nobody approached me to ask me or sit and watch
In
me.
defense of myself and the members of council here.
I'm not talking about you.
Okay, go.
I said,
Don't start throwing stones all over the place, Brenda.
I'm not.
Go.
Okay.
Come on,
I'm not even
Relax,
talking to you.
relax.
come on, guys.
Wasn't talking to him. I'm not being rude. I said I'm not being rude. Nobody ever, every person on council I have invited to my office whenever they were appointed or ran for election and won. Come over anytime, you have any questions, blah, blah, blah. I know everybody's busy, but there's very few that came over. And I'm going back 18 years. Anyhow, it is a full-time position. Per the third-class city code, the treasurer must be in the office when city hall is open.
So we're talking 40 hours a week.
35 hours is full-time in the city of Shamokin, and that includes benefits. I don't even know where to begin to tell you everything that I do. I have a list this long and this small of print of year-end reports that I do. And I'm the only one that does them. Federal, state reports. I reconcile, now it's gonna be maybe 29 bank statements. And give all of you and the financial council member the reports. Answer phone calls. I can be in the middle of doing it. The job is very, you absolutely have to be able to do this, stop doing that, and do this. You must have an accounting degree.
And what kind of accounting degree? What is the actual requirement for
An
that?
associate degree.
Associate degree?
Yeah. Can be an accountant with a 4-year degree.
Right, but
Yeah.
minimum would be associate.
Correct. I work with Excel, anything in Microsoft Office, email, be able to communicate, be able to work well in a group setting or on your own. Meet deadlines.
This is an elected office, so there should be something, correct? If somebody's
There's
going,
nothing.
if somebody's running for office, you're, gotta know what you're running for, correct? So, I mean, there should be like something in there.
Well, there is.
Even a third-class city code, there should be something. Nothing.
I started to make a POS, which I can get out and look through, just so like if something happened to me, someone would have an idea of how to do this, how to do that, different reports. And literally like anyone could follow it, open up Excel, go here, do this, do that. I work closely with the county, other tax collectors. You can try to.
There's so many different, it's going to be.
It's an accounting position.
Yeah, it's definitely
It's an
gonna
accounting
be a trained accountant for the city's benefit, for council's benefit, for everyone's benefit. You need a trained accountant that knows what they're doing, because there are so many other requirements other than just taking care of city funds. There are
I
a
also-
bazillion accounts to take care of.
All the
We
bank-
just opened up 2 more accounts tonight, so.
Yeah.
So it just keeps adding on and adding on, so it's really hard to put it, I would like to,
You also have.
I would like to see to get a job description. I don't even know where we would get a job description that would specifically fit us.
Well, I think we can
We
come up
can-
with a job description between now and.
Friday.
It has to be done.
No, I'm saying the job description
Yeah.
that will fill the salary that we decide.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get a better handle on it myself, because truly, we don't have that expenditure. And it is very difficult for me to sit here and say, okay, without knowing what we're getting into.
Yeah.
You also have to be able to be bonded. $3 million goes through my office.
Who bonds, you or we, the city pays you for your bond?
The city,
Okay,
the county, and the school.
okay.
We
So
share.
1/3, 1/3.
Right, but you have to be able to get the bond.
That's right.
Right, which is that's a task in itself.
Going back to the money, if you all look at your treasury report that I gave you, and look at debt service, which is sinking fund number 1.
Yeah.
Total sinking fund 1 balance.
Excuse me, Mrs. Moyer said something? Hold on, Mrs. Moyer.
No, I was going to ask a question because I think it's a very good point. Do you have any concerns over council requesting a job description to give us a better handle on how we move forward with this?
No, but Barbara, you have till Friday. It has to be basically done today.
Brenda's saying, Mrs. Moyer,
Yes.
Brenda is saying, in response to what you're saying, Brenda's saying that you have until Friday to produce this job description, Brenda?
No,
Yeah,
an amount of money.
An amount of money that she's talking about, which I'm sure you're familiar with this subject.
And just so the public is aware, this is necessary for the next election. It's not approved,
Not for me.
Correct.
this is scandal now. But should the next person run,
This is what they're running for.
exactly, this is what they're running for.
So this salary and position has, we will come to agreement on, is not actually going to go forward until after that election. And we're in a bit of a different position, I guess is the way to say it.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
The third class city code does say the treasurer shall receive a salary. However, it doesn't specify what the salary shall be. It could be $1, could be X amount of dollars, so.
If you look at debt service, okay, for February 1st, the balance is $125,965. I haven't begun to collect any taxes yet, and I will not until March. That money's sitting there.
So you're saying that could be used?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking. Yes, that's what I'm asking.
Now, you can't just take it out of debt service to pay an employee. We would move mills around, like we did this year, and like I do every year, okay? You reduce the tax on debt service and increase it on a different line item.
Does that work?
for?
All of our debts are paid right now, up until June. So there's $125,000 sitting in that account.
And I'm good with that as long as we can do that and we're within. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the third class city code caps us at a millage. That's why we had gone to court to get the other 5 mills.
Yeah, I understand.
So there are limits on certain taxes that can be imposed. So I'm not sure
Where that falls.
where that falls or what Mrs. Scandal is suggesting.
Well, what I'm saying is every year we look at the mills, okay? They don't increase. But we may have 5 mills on recreation this year, which Mike, you can understand, remember I cut yours? You almost had fit. Anyhow, okay, we reduce recreation. Put it down to 3. Take 2 mills and put it elsewhere to pay the treasurer. You're not increasing any tax.
I mean,
You're moving the
millage.
the percentage of what goes in recreation, the percentage of what goes in every one of these accounts.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
You just asked me a question.
Yeah.
The only caveat, and I think I know your question's coming from, Mike, and I think it's a good question, because and the solicitor also said that. Now, when you say we can move millages,
I do all the
I agree,
time.
but we're not gonna move general fund millages.
No.
Okay.
That's the main one.
Yeah, I'm just making sure, and
Yeah.
Val, I saw you shaking your head, so I have to ask you.
Well, it is possible to tweak millage, but I don't think we can add anything more to the general fund.
Yeah, I
I
just
think
wanted to
that
make
is added
sure.
to
No,
the
we cannot add to the
You
general
can't do
fund.
that with the general.
No.
Okay, and that's,
So then that really wouldn't affect the salary question because salaries come out of the general fund.
So,
Where the salary is
Yeah.
concerned for the treasurer, so under the third class city code, if I understand this correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, the treasurer also fulfills the role as a tax collector. So it's kind of a dual position, and the tax collector is currently paid a full-time salary. So this is like a combined.
Not by the city.
No, not by the city, no, it's 3 different sources,
Right.
but they do receive, a full-time salary. So I don't feel, it may not be necessary to consider that a separate position that requires a full-time salary. We do have to set a salary, but it could be something supplemental in addition to the tax collector.
Good luck with that. Because I'm gonna be truthful and I'm gonna tell everybody exactly what's involved in the job, and you will have a job description. That's like doing your job and doing tax collector. That's what I do.
Yeah.
So and you don't feel that that needs to be paid?
Oh, it does need to be paid, but the question is, how much? And can we afford to essentially double a role that we have, double the salary for it?
Well, you take
In the budget,
something
I
like,
don't think is really something we can accommodate in the budget,
Okay.
another full-time salary.
say, Kevin has 40,000 in there for a truck in the general fund, okay? You take that out and you put that 40,000 for his truck in the liquid fuels budget. Now you got 40,000 in the general fund that you can use. There are many things in the general fund budget that can be put in other places of the budget.
yeah, and I'm not arguing that part, but at the same time, I most certainly am trying to understand. I'm trying to understand and make sense out of going from 0.
Maybe
To
talk to,
$125,000 a year.
Yeah.
maybe talk to someone, some of the council members in Sudbury. Or another third class city, because every third class city, the treasurer gets paid as a full-time treasurer.
Oh,
And they also get paid as tax collector. The reason, okay, and yes, it's hard to believe I didn't get paid. And I keep trying to explain this to people, and I don't know, I guess people aren't understanding. I did not ask for a wage because for 50 years in the city of Shamokin, the treasurer was allowed to keep the funds from doing tax certifications and supplying mortgage companies with duplicate bills. Therefore, attorneys and mortgage companies were basically footing the bill to pay the the treasurer, okay?
Okay.
Act 47 came along, and basically, this is the honest God truth, wanted to start trouble with me. They wanted me out of here. And everybody knows, it was all over the papers. And I went to court for it. They made me look like I was a thief. I was not. And I did not do anything wrong. I did not have to pay a dime of the money back because I did nothing wrong. It was done for 50 years.
And I understand that part.
But that's why I didn't ask for a pay of $37,000. I was able to keep that, but once now, now it's gone, the city took it. And the city didn't even make out because they had to split it between the school and the county. So it was basically just a vendetta that caused nothing but grief, especially on my part. And I know there were people on council that didn't agree with it. But they were put in a position by DCED. Sometimes you do this and you don't get that. And that's how it works.
Okay.
As I said, you can talk to other treasurers in the third-class city. If you talk to Cole Township, East Cameron, West Cameron, Butler Township, they all keep their tax certification and duplicate bill fee money.
Just a point of clarification, Brenda couldn't ask for a raise because
Midterm.
she's midterm. So it has to be approved for next term. So that was just a point of clarification.
And the reason that the city got to keep that money is a third-class city is different than a borough or a township. So according to a third-class city, the treasurer should not keep that money. The tax collector shouldn't keep that money. According to all the other boroughs and townships, they could keep that money. But the reason being, Mike, because they were paid a wage. The treasurer was paid a wage in a third-class city.
Okay, so then I guess my next question would be on the tax collector part.
Yes.
Okay, so the tax collector is an appointed.
Same, yes, whoever is elected treasurer by the third-class city code is automatically appointed tax collector.
Okay, so what is the income?
$35,000 split between three.
That is the 35 split between three. So that 35 basically is
It's
going
the tax
to the tax collector.
Correct. Not the treasurer. Treasurer at all. And I do a lot more treasurer work than I do tax collector.
right.
I'm just trying to get to where's the money, where's it going?
I'm glad you brought that up, Mike, because I went through I knew this issue would be discussed tonight. And I brought along the next year's budget, or our current budget right now, and there is no line item in there for treasurer's salary. So it's going to be an additional cost.
Correct.
For the general fund.
Yes.
For the general fund.
But as I said, there are things in the general fund budget that can be moved to other funds.
Okay, so what we're doing right now is we're making a motion to put in, establish a salary.
Correct.
Okay, now this has to be done by Friday.
Yeah.
Correct, so we're gonna have to have another meeting.
Well, you can make a motion tonight. If passes.
To adopt the salary, I mean, not to adopt the salary, but what the salary is, so we have to have another.
We can do it tonight, it's on the agenda.
Tonight, okay.
I would suggest starting at $35,000.
Well, 35,000 is what, that's $11 an hour? $12.
I mean, in the scheme of things, it's really it is not a lot when you're speaking of a 35-hour week. And the fact that they have to have an associate's degree in accounting.
And meetings.
I'm not arguing any other part of that. but to expect someone to come with an associate's degree and pay them less than that, I would say that's gonna be a task.
Well, I would be
That part would be a
afraid
task.
to offer less than that for a wage. I would be afraid to have someone
It's $19.
have all that money at their
If you,
fingertips.
if you set a salary, remember that they will also automatically going to get the tax collector salary. So they're going to get at least 35,000 plus whatever we set for the treasurer's salary.
Right,
Yeah,
that,
but the other is split between the three.
Yes, but
Yeah,
that
it's
is
roughly
what
around
they're
But
doing.
you're doing two jobs, that's why I said split the jobs.
but where does but then we also have Paul,
He's in the budget.
He's in the
He's
tax.
budget, yeah, he's in.
okay?
Paul is-
So his salary comes out of that separate.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with, yeah.
What is?
Actually, you have the budget,
I have the budget right here.
I never spend any money on my budget.
Is that about 8,000?
Yes, we have, Paul's salary is, deputy treasurer salary is $9,571.20.
So of course, the treasurer is gonna have to have more money than that. You have to pay more than what.
But we gave Paul $13,918 for 2025. So next year,
What are my line items? Because,
right there,
like
there they are.
Can we,
housekeeping
can we
is,
adjust this after we do this?
What'll happen, Mike, or if I'm out of line here, what the challenge will be for the council is to see how it's going to affect the general fund next year. And I know you need a gurus have to put that on, but you need to be careful that you don't go you can't go too low, or you're not gonna get a qualified person, but you can't price yourself out of.
I was gonna say go 50 grand, because you don't have, that's just,
How much?
I said I would not say 50.
Oh, okay.
You were saying 37.
35 is fine.
I will still be here to do the budget next year. I have no problem sitting with any of you long before the budget starts, like even next week.
She said, next year.
You know what I mean?
No, I understand.
We'll work on it. And I'll explain what I was saying. But yeah, you have to have a price now.
Just in addition to whatever salary, you have to look at FICA.
Yeah.
Any,
Yeah, all that.
all that goes in it too, so.
And I already get benefits, so that's not gonna be an increase.
Yeah.
I mean,
There would be an increase in pension.
there is an increase in pension.
Well, it's based off of the salary.
It's based off
The
the salary,
increases.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you're increasing the salary,
So Val,
FICA, pension.
if you had to give us a figure, a $35,000 salary, what is it gonna cost the city?
Well, it would be that plus 7.65% FICA. And as far as the pension, I would have to get back to you with a number for that, but
How much is it for your pension?
I don't take pension. Off the top of my head, somebody that makes about 40,000 would be a total of about 11,000, I believe is the pension contribution. Minus any state aid, I'm not sure how much they put in, but
Yeah. The state would put into it.
You're gonna be looking at.
You don't have a choice, you have to do it.
You basically gotta bite the bullet.
Yeah. You don't have a choice.
if I.
You don't have to go, I mean, we have,
Please do.
If you were to set the treasurer's salary at, say, $10,000, remember that would be in addition to the tax collector's salary, so that one individual would then be making 45,000, which is a reasonable salary in the city.
No, it's not. Come and do my job. Come and do both jobs.
I don't mean for your job, but I just mean
Well,
in the
that is
city.
my job.
no, it's, let's not try to get personal.
Right, it's just
I don't
trying to.
We're
I'm
trying,
looking out for the next person that fills my shoes, because you know what, I have been, excuse my language, screwed for years.
Just comparison.
And I want
with other
somebody in this city that you're not gonna have to worry about stealing a penny. And somebody who has an education and is honest.
And and
You're
I
absolutely
completely
correct.
understand that. But both have good valid points. I mean, bottom line is what the total compensation is. It's not just the treasurer's salary, it's the treasurer / tax collector salary.
And look at other third-class cities, Mike.
Well,
See, everybody that-
I can't look at other third-class cities because this is the only one that I'm concerned with, and it's the only one that I'm responsible for. So I don't care what Sunbury does, okay? I don't care what Sunbury does. All I can care about is ours and trying to keep our budget under control.
Okay, home rule, what they're suggesting is that it be two separate positions. If home rule wins, now you have treasurer for 10 grand.
Hold on, let's not mix home rule at this point. That's purely not.
Well,
Regardless of whether home rule passes, there still will be a treasurer.
there has to be.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
that person will also still be the tax collector.
We're talking for the next 4 years, when, like you said,
Yeah.
whether or not home rule passes, the next treasurer,
Right.
4 years. We gotta come up with this. Boy, and then you gotta justify to the city that you're getting a salary. I think you're worth every penny. I think you're worth every penny. I mean, we have great people here, and I understand this completely. Do not take it personal, but trying to tell a taxpayer that, well, we just have to bite the bullet and put 40 grand out there every year, that's hard to justify to people when
Well, then.
Brenda, I know, but you're trying to convince 3, but you gotta convince 8,000 people.
I started at 35,000,
He started at 35,000 as administrator.
2008.
And you're asking for a treasurer to start at 10,000 in 2024.
I'll make a motion that we set the salary at $20,000.
Plus benefits,
Yeah, and
20 plus benefits.
Yeah. I'll make the motion.
On the question. You don't need to put you on the spot, Mike.
Yeah, you put me on the spot.
You have an idea, you believe this money is in the budget right now?
Well,
Yes, it is.
I believe that it's going to be able to be covered for 2026, which is what we have to worry about. So
And you and I and others want additional code enforcement.
I completely understand what we want, but we have.
And this
We
is
have,
going to be.
we have a salary that we must figure out.
Do this.
So what I want, and trust me, I know what I want. So I just don't see any other way to get around that. I think we have to be able to compensate someone for doing a job. We have to be able to compensate them fairly. And I don't see how we're gonna get someone to do that for less. So I'm not gonna agree to 35. I think that along with the tax collector fees it's probably being a little bit too generous. 20 I can live with, and I think 20 we can figure out. That personal opinion, but being that that's what it comes down to, I'm comfortable with trying to do that, so.
If I were just to support what you're saying, Mike,
Yes,
so it's clear. You would, for the 2026 budget, you would be saying that the motion would be to make the salary $20,000. And in our 2025 budget, we have 13,500 for the tax collector, so that would be a total of 33,500 already. So you're in the right direction there when you're doing that.
and I understand it may not be perfect.
That's good.
If I may.
Don't let the good be don't let the perfect be the.
I have a question.
Sorry,
Hold
Mr.
hold
Keller.
on, Mrs. Moyer.
I just want to clarify, so that would be the total cost to the city.
Yes.
The tax collector would also receive a portion of their
That's correct,
salary
yeah, correct.
from other.
Correct.
Yes,
Thank you.
they understand.
Thank you. Yeah, so.
But if Bob leaves, they could also start an administrator at a lower wage.
Good luck with that.
You don't walk in the door with that wage.
The city tried to hire me 12 years ago at 35,000, and we're told by DCED, don't sell, it's.
I'm not saying
Mrs.
35.
Moyer had a question.
Okay, yeah, let's get
Mrs.
some.
Moyer, go ahead.
The question is, going forward, would council be in a position to make an adjustment to a salary that we may be prepared to agree on tonight?
You can't
No,
adjust
you can't,
that.
you can't do that.
We have
Well,
to,
that's my question.
No. We are setting the salary, Mrs. Moyer, for the election for the next 4 years. And you cannot increase someone's salary midterm.
No, and I know that. I'm talking about when that position changes from an elected to an appointed position. Would the council be in a position to make an adjustment then?
If home rule.
If home rule passes,
Yes.
Yes.
correct, yes, but we have to also be prepared if it does not.
Exactly. I know that. I know it's a very precarious position to be in.
I don't understand why you all don't understand there's $125,000 sitting in the debt service and all our debts paid.
And I understand that completely. I'm, like I said, I'm good with the 20. I'm not good with going further. I'm good with the 20, which is why I made the motion. I think that to
So
me is,
Mr. McLaughlin has made a motion. Is there a second?
yeah, Mr. Keeler.
Mr. Keller? Is there a need for additional discussion?
Before you move on, I just want to clarify, I'm not, saying that anybody is not worth it. It's just a budgetary thing.
This is
That's all
not-
it is,
this is not
You guys are all
personal.
worth way more, but we have a realistic budget for our specific city, and sometimes it's not comparable to other municipalities.
That's why I lost the money, because they compared me to Sunbury.
well, and shame on them for doing that,
Yeah.
but we're not going to. Yes.
Well, the others did.
Additional discussion? Nope. You guys okay over there? Mr. Duganis?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's do it. Mr. Duganis?
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mr. Moyer?
Yes, I know we have to move forward and get this, ready for the election. I'm certainly not happy.
Okay. Mrs. Kaler, Mr. Kaler?
Yes.
Sorry, along with DCD.
The motion carries 4 yeas, 1 absent. Mr. Duganis, you can proceed wherever you
Okay,
start.
board, please request a motion to reappoint Bill Allen to the zoning board for a 5-year term beginning January 1st, 2025.
So moved.
Is there a second? If you're asking that, yes, you could ask that, you make a subsidiary. Once, if it's been moved and seconded, you could make or not second it, and make a subsidiary motion that it be tabled. But if there's a motion or not a motion for this, then it just gets tabled.
So reservations.
I just want to just double check something.
Okay.
Okay, so we're getting a motion to table this?
Well,
Or first we have-
There's a
Mrs.
motion.
Boyer made a motion,
She made the motion.
so at that point, it would be either someone seconded it and then we vote, or no one seconded it
And die.
and we pull it over, we push it till the next meeting.
If there's a second, just a point of clarification. Before it's voted on, somebody could make a subsidiary motion to table. And a subsidiary motion is voted on before the motion. That's per Robert's Rules of Order.
So we have a motion to accept, and then we have a motion to table.
Well, no, right now we have a motion to accept. So the question is there a second?
No second?
So then that motion would die. So there's no need for a subsidiary motion. It could be brought up again next month,
Okay,
but because there was no second, the motion would fail.
So that's where it's going to stay.
Could be put on next month's.
Yes.
put it on next, put it on next
That's for the
month.
lack of a second.
Correct,
Correct.
correct.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Buchanan.
Request a motion to appoint Kathy Jeremiah to the Shamokin EDA Board, vacancy created by the resignation of Pat Mack, effective February 1st, 2025.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Anything on the question?
This is already in effect. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
The motion carries 4 days.
Request a motion to reappoint Andrew Twigger to the Shamokin EDA Board. Is this a 5-year term?
Typically, they are a 5-year term, is that?
Yes. I don't, as we look here, I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking that.
It's just, does it go into effect now, or, I mean, that's all it says. It's just request a motion to reappoint Andrew Twigger.
Whenever his term was up, which was, I believe, in January.
Right, the way I'm reading that, Mr. Taylor would be a full term, Mrs. Jeremiah would be taking the vacancy.
That's what I was.
So that would take it to whatever the end of
Oh,
that Mack's term. Correct. Yeah.
So this is a full term for Andrew Twigger.
Yes, because that's, you're reappointing, yes. And I'll make the motion if we didn't get one.
Second.
I'll second.
Any need for any more discussion? Mr. Buchanan?
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Mrs. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
The motion carries 4 days.
Okay, request a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 25-01, establishing regulations related to vagrancy and homelessness within the city of Shamokin.
Mr. Chair, this would be the second reading of this ordinance. Last month was the first reading of the ordinance of the City of Shamokin, Rocklin County, Pennsylvania, establishing regulations related to vagrancy and homelessness within the City of Shamokin, providing for the welfare, safety, and dignity of the homeless individuals while promoting community health, safety, and order. Whereas the City of Shamokin wishes to adopt an ordinance establishing regulations related to vagrancy and homelessness within the City of Shamokin, providing for the welfare, safety, and dignity of homeless individuals while promoting community health, safety, and order. Now therefore be it ordained by Council of the City of Shamokin, the purpose and intent. The purpose of this ordinance is to balance the need for public safety, community well-being, and the dignity and rights of individuals experiencing homelessness. The city recognizes the complex nature of homelessness and is committed to providing supportive services while also maintaining the safety, health, and welfare of all residents. This ordinance seeks to provide humane alternative to criminalization of homelessness, encourage cooperation between government agencies, nonprofits, and the community, protect the public from hazards that may arise from encampments and unsanctioned use of public spaces, Criminal policies focus on housing first, mental health support, addiction services, and other community-based solutions. Definitions: homelessness, a person who lacks a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence, including those living in shelters, transitional housing, or places not meant for human habitation. Vacancy, the condition of an individual who is physically present in public spaces without visible means of support or lawful purpose. Encampment, a temporary or semi-permanent outdoor living space consisting of tents, tarps, makeshift shelters or other structures. Vehicles or vehicle camping where one or more individuals reside, typically in a public or non-designated area. Public space, any area owned or managed by the city or other government entity that is open to the public, including streets, alleys, parks, sidewalks, public buildings, improved or unimproved land, the street, alley, alleyway, or place of whatever nature, publicly maintained and open to use of the public for purposes of vehicular travel. Street includes highway, as that term is defined in the Pennsylvania Motor Vehicle Code. Prohibited acts of camping or sleeping in public spaces. It shall be unlawful for any person to camp or sleep in public spaces except in designated areas or facilities provided by the city for such purpose. This includes, but is not limited to, sleeping in parks or on sidewalks and plazas or other public areas where camping is not expressly permitted. Obstruction of public right-of-way. No person shall obstruct public streets, sidewalks, or other rights-of-way by placing personal belongings, makeshift shelters, or any other objects in such a manner that hinders pedestrian or vehicular traffic or creates a public hazard. C, littering or improper disposal of waste. Individuals residing in public spaces must properly dispose of waste in appropriate containers. Dumping waste, human waste, or hazardous material in public spaces is prohibited. Blocking entrances or exit. It shall be unlawful for any person to block, obstruct, or impede access to buildings, entrances, exits, or public transportation facilities, including bus stops, by means of encampments, tents, or other structures. Section 4, emergency shelter. This ordinance shall not apply to individuals residing in emergency shelters, transitional housing, or other lawful temporary accommodations provided by the city or its contracted agencies. Designated areas for homeless individuals. The city may designate, doesn't have to, but may designate specific areas where individuals may camp or stay temporarily, provided that such areas comply with health, safety, and standards and offer access to basic amenities such as sanitation facilities. Individuals experience homelessness may be temporarily allowed to remain in public spaces where they are actively engaging in local social services, including outreach programs, mental health services, and substance treatment. Encouragement of voluntary compliance, city staff, including but limited to the City of Shamokin Police and the City of Shamokin Code Office, and authorized outreach organization will prioritize engaging individuals experiencing homelessness in a manner that encourages voluntary compliance with this ordinance. Prior to taking enforcement actions, individuals found in violation shall receive a written warning, and an attempt shall be made to connect the individual with available services. If the individual refuses services or continues to violate, further actions may be taken. Penalties for non-compliance: first, violation of the verbal warning and offer of services; second, a written citation or warning with an offer to connect the individual to resources and shelter; third, and subsequent violations, fines not to exceed $100 per violation, or arrest for non-compliance subject to applicable laws. In the case of fines, the individual shall be given an opportunity to resolve the matter through community service, provided they are unable to pay. Seizure of property left in public spaces by individuals violating this ordinance may be subject to confiscation by city authorities unless the property is deemed essential or necessary for the individual's survival, example, medications, identifications, etc. City personnel shall notify the individual before seizing any personal property and shall store it for a period of 60 days for retrieval by the individual. Outreach and support. The city shall partner with nonprofit organizations, city providers, and other community stakeholders to provide outreach support and resources to individuals experiencing homelessness. Review and evaluation. The city shall conduct periodic reviews of the effectiveness of this ordinance, including its impact on public health, safety, and homelessness. Based on this review, city council may amend or update this ordinance to improve its effectiveness. Section 8, severability. If any portion is declared to be invalid, it does not affect the ordinances. All ordinances or parts which are in conflict, including section 383-18, are hereby repealed. This ordinance shall be effective within 10 days.
Okay.
Now I can say, okay, requesting motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 2501, establishing regulations related to vagrancy and homelessness within the city of Shamokin.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
The motion carries 4 yeas.
Item number 2, if I may, requesting a motion to approve advertisement of sale of unused properties within the city of Shamokin. We had received appraisals for, I believe, 17 properties located within the city. What we'd like to do is at least make this approval to get these advertised, but we need to come up with, I think it would be good to come up a plot showing where these properties are located and coming up with appropriate deed restrictions on these properties, such as no junkyards, no parking of abandoned vehicles, et cetera, et cetera. But at least we're starting the process by authorizing the advertisement.
And that's all we're doing, perfect.
Correct, that's it. And then we'll set out the parameters of the set, the conditions of the sale.
And the only question or thought I have on that is, whatever we come up with on that, I would hope we run it past Chief Psycho and also Bruce to make sure that we're on the code and police side of it, whatever we put in there as far as the restriction is enforced. Yeah, that we can stop. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, then, yeah.
And,
I'm good.
and we've already, discussed it, that we're going to do sealed bids. We're not gonna hire an auctioneer.
Right, yes.
We're maximizing our dollars.
Yes.
Okay, any more discussion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second
it.
Barry? Mr. McGinnis?
Yes, I just want to go on, I just want for you to say on the question. I want to thank Bob, and so Greco, sorry. Also the RDA, for picking up the appraisal fee on this. We've been waiting for this for a while, and I appreciate it, so it's great to see this moving along.
We will be getting that sent over to them. Quickly. Mr. McGinnis?
Yes.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Ms. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Kaling?
Yes.
The ayes have it.
I have nothing further to say.
Okay, thank you, sir. Citizens' comments.
Robert John.
It's, just push the switch, no, up higher on.
Got it.
It should be,
It was on.
It was.
it was, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's a real sensitive. I tell you something there. Don't
Before
Good
you-
evening.
Before you go any further, I was tempted to say this
real early on when we were talking about the promotion of Dan Busco. Okay, are you going to invite him to your studio for a belly bopping contest?
Oh, wow, now you're showing your age.
I will answer that is if he so desires to. The only requirement is he knows what happens to him when the Tayatosh is applied.
Very good, very good.
I appreciate being able to come in and speak to everyone tonight. Once again, my name is Robert John, and I'm still trying to get an answer to my cost of my life insurance that I've been trying to get for the last 3 years or more. I was in City Hall today on another matter. When I finished up, I left a message with the clerk that took my information.
And Bob, I did get that when she was leaving, and I had every intention of returning your call. I've always returned your call.
No, you haven't.
Oh, okay.
I'm not being confrontational. I'm just telling you the truth. I've left, as I stated last year when I was up here at a council meeting, I made numerous calls, texts, stopped by. There are times that you did return my call, but for the majority of them, you didn't. And unfortunately, you're the only guy that I can go through because I really don't have a chain of command seeing that I'm retired. When I worked, yes, there is a chain of command that you can follow, but not when I'm retired. My first, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna ask you to please clarify what you're saying.
You have a copy of my contract that was provided to you. That has all the provisions in it. I don't understand what the problem is. In black and white in that contract, it says, upon a person's retirement, without going into the exact language in the contract, basically it's saying is, whatever I had when I was with the city working as a police officer, when you retire, you're allowed to transfer some of them over as long as you pay the premium. Okay, when I retired, I was under the assumption no one, one way, shape, or another, ever told me that my life insurance went down to $10,000 from $50,000. Now, I'm not trying to cause anybody any grief or anything like that. I'm looking out for my wife. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be here forever. Hopefully she lives longer than what I do, and 50,000 she can get along better with than 10,000. It says as long as you pay that insurance premium, you are entitled to the same thing as the other officers. When I spoke to you numerous times about it, I was very clear. I'm not trying to make any enemies. I'm just want to get what is mine. That's all. And it went from, you had to contact the DCED, then you were going to meet with Lars Anderson. I don't know, I guess he's somebody with Act 47. I never received any word one way or another other than, and when I would run into you out in the street, I would say hello to you, you'd say hello back, and you say, oh, Bob, I'll give you a call when I get home or when I get back to the office. Nothing. All I want to know is, what is the stickler, if there is one, and or what do I owe? I want what is entitled to me, the $50,000 life insurance upon my death. Very simple.
If I can add one thing, Bob, I think the amount, the yearly cost for you is $81.20 or $81.
I just paid $81.60.
Yes.
Something.
Yeah, that's for a year.
That's what the other retirees like.
But
yes,
And
But,
also, I think.
but, hold on, you're missing the whole point here.
I know, you're. what
So
about
is that for the
50 or
10,000 or is that for the 50,000?
I don't know, because I'm not an officer, now I.
Well, you
feel
were supposed to
elected
find that out,
officials
Mr. Slavy. I still don't know an answer.
So.
It's in black and white, upon the policeman's retirement, as long as he pays the insurance premium, he is entitled to the 50,000 upon his death.
Well, then that's what you should get.
Well, well, I'm sure a 50,000 policy is gonna be more than 81 something a year.
No, they all pay 81, the city picks up the rest.
Right, but there was a change in the amount somewhere in there.
Yeah, there's nothing in there that says upon your retirement you get.
No, I am not arguing with you.
I'm
Bob.
clarifying.
I'm just saying so that 81 might only be for 10,000,
No,
okay?
I stand to correct you. No, I'm sorry, but I have to correct you. That 8160 is for what is in the contract of 50,000.
Okay, there you go.
At no time, as a matter of fact, when Officer Marufka died,
Yeah.
God rest his soul, I went up and that brought it to the head. I said, okay, and this was probably the second time I talked to Mr. Slavy. And I brought up about Officer Marufka's not being nosy, but what did he get paid? And it wasn't the 50,000. And I said, oh boy, that's gonna be a problem. He says, well, what do you mean? And then that's where it went from there.
Okay, so you're saying the 8106, technically, in your eyes, is for the 50,000?
True. No other retiree pays any amount higher
Right.
since I've been here, in 18 years.
Well, if I may ask, I mean, you are the governing body now and you weren't in power when I retired, but who made that decision?
And that's what the solicitor is reading the paperwork now, okay? And that's all I want to know. If it's in there, as far as I'm concerned, if your contract states that, you get it. There's absolutely no question about it.
Well, the only other comment I'm gonna make is when I brought this up last year, Mrs. Moyer was here and she turned around and said to me something to the point, well, that's not gonna be fair with the other officers. And I said, well, what do you mean? She says, well, we can't give it to you and not to them. I said, you're not giving me anything. I am paying for what I'm entitled to. It's not like you're giving it to me for free.
Well,
I'm paying for it.
And if your contract stipulated something different than the other officers, then that's a completely different conversation. Your circumstances are your circumstances.
Right.
Your contract was for you. So I see absolutely no issue with any of that.
I don't know what the other contracts after me entail because quite frankly, it doesn't concern me. It doesn't, I have no knowledge what's in there, but my contract, there is nothing in there that says other than if you pay the insurance premium upon your death, your widow or whoever you designate gets 50,000.
So we're most certainly gonna, I promise you, one way or the other, you'll get an answer, okay? And it won't be long, and we should be able to figure it out fairly shortly.
I'm gonna wait.
Thank
you.
It's not the system.
Mr. John?
No.
Mr. John?
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Slavy had something to add, please.
I will speak with the Lakeway Attorney tomorrow morning. You gonna be available?
Review his.
It's up to you.
I-
don't mean to put you on
No,
the
no, no,
spot, but
I have,
to him.
yes, I'm gonna be available, but what I'm trying to
There's a
explain.
possibility, it's not only you, it may be other former police officers that are in the same predicament that I'm not aware of. I inherited you and a whole bunch of other people out. Now, if we can get together tomorrow morning, whatever is at your convenience, I'm going to make a space somewhere
If you want
to
to,
accommodate you.
if you have time, look through the records and see what the Bruce Rogers, Patrolman Rogers' family was paid when he expired. And if it was less than $50,000, I don't know what, I don't.
Find a contract, Robert, going back.
Excuse me, just. Robert John Noes.
Yes, sir.
That's how I
Please
know
call-
your affection.
Please call me Herman Pagodowitz.
Okay. There's just some points of clarification. And again, I'm just looking over this right now. Okay, so bear with me.
Sure.
The document that was provided to me was like a patrolman contract. A patrolman contract. But
Well, it involves everyone from sergeant, lieutenant, whatever is in there.
But this document says, and I'm just asking, did you have a separate contract
No.
for,
Okay, so he fell under
Being a
SPOA.
detective, no.
what?
Then he fell under SPOA. Then he fell under the Contract Police Officers Association.
Whatever the officers got from the chief on down got.
Well, but this is saying something a little
Yeah.
different, but
Absolutely.
we'll look at it.
Well,
We'll look at it.
well, I'm right here. What is
Well, it
different
says,
about it?
the terms shall not apply to the chief detective. So I just.
Right, that's where it falls under the SPOA thing.
Okay.
However, I might not have been under the contract, but every provision of that contract was enforceable.
Again, I'm not arguing with you.
No, I'm not
just
either.
trying to-
I'm just letting you know too.
Yeah, we'll look at it and something will get back
Thank you very much.
to you. No. Yeah, we'll look at it.
We'll get a copy of that at some point. It doesn't have to be today, yeah.
Any other citizens' comments? Citizens' comments? Johnny?
I heard at some point you're gonna look at it.
No, we're gonna look at it.
Oh, okay.
Yep, we're gonna look at it.
Yeah, because you have to sign in order to speak.
Can I get your name again? Brenda Walsh. Okay, I'm here, I have a restricted parking area, and where I live on the same side as the West End Fire Company, okay? Which there isn't a lot of parking, okay? And on the corner, there's a four-way stop. Four-way stop. Well, the person that moved in there, he uses a decoy car to sit there, and he's within 20 feet from the stop sign, and he parks right on my white line. And as I'm trying to parallel park, which I have a couple of disabilities, okay? When I'm trying to parallel park to get into my parking spot, the people are going right around me and going to the stop sign. I have a hard time parking my car. It takes me almost 20 minutes just to park my car. And the lady behind me, she can't even fit there. Her car, she has a cage where she puts her go-kart on the back. And when she parks there, she's into the fire company parking stop. These people on the corner have literally tried running me off the road in Darktown because my father parked in that parking spot. The father will come and knock on your door and ask you, whose car is that? You're in my son's parking spot. No, I'm sorry. You don't own the street. there should not be anybody parked in front of the park. They're within 20 feet from a stop sign and a yellow line. And they took a big chunk of the curb out so that you can't see the yellow line.
Ms. Walsh, you said you're near Westland Fire Company. What is your address?
310. There's a house on the corner, then an empty home that just got sold, and then my home, and then a lady there.
Is it Pine?
Pine Street. I called several times when I went to the state representative. She told me that she contacted you. Then that if I have problems when they park there, I should call the cops. 3 times I called. Nobody showed up. I went over there. That was the only time somebody came. That woman, the lady cop, was the only one that did anything when I went over there.
So question for you, do you have the dates and times when you called 3 times and they didn't show up?
I have them at home. I
Will
did.
you please call tomorrow and give that to
Yes,
me?
I will.
Because
I will.
all it is easy as looking it up.
Okay, I will. And when I went over there, I explained it to the lady. I said, I'm just tired of, they're trying to run me off the road because my family
Did you
parked
report
there.
that to Cole Township Police?
It's smoking.
Not Darktown. Darktown's Cole
Oh,
Township.
okay, well, no.
Did you
I
report that to Cole Township Police?
No,
Okay.
no. And the father stood there at my house and stood there and stared at me. And I said, you have a problem, sir? He said, like this, just stood at me and then went to the corner, made a U-turn and sat in front of my house and did the same thing. I don't need that kind of stuff. You know what I
Did you
mean? I
call
bought
at
my
that
home in
time?
Shamokin and I'm just fed
Did you
up with.
call the police at that time?
No, I didn't because I didn't. It's like what they're going to say. Well, what? Because he stared at you? No, he stared me down.
Well, that's correct. That's not against the law.
Right, but he stared me down, like more or less. You don't park. You know what I mean? Your family, my family won't even come to visit me because there's nowhere to park. You know what I mean? There's
Right.
nowhere to park, and I understand that with the fire company there.
Mhm.
But still, and all, I pay for this parking spot, and I struggle every day. I
So
can
is
parallel park.
Does he park directly in your parking spot?
He's parked.
Or
It's,
is this the vehicle that your white line's here and he's parked right here?
the stop sign's here.
Mhm.
Okay, there's 20 feet from the stop sign, and then my white line, or my one line, and then me. So when I'm parallel parking, when I'm coming in, I gotta make such sharp turns
So
to
again,
go
let me
around
ask you,
here.
does he park inside your parking spot?
His hitch of his truck is on my white
Okay,
line,
but that doesn't constitute parking in a restricted area.
but it's a 4-way stop. You can't put. How can you park?
I understand that, but that would be something that probably Kevin would have to go over and do a measurement.
Oh, Kevin, I don't even want to get going there. When I went to him and asked him if he could accommodate me for my parking, he screamed at me and said, ma'am, you got 20 feet more, what more do you want? If you don't want to,
Excuse me, your time, 3 minutes.
oh, come on.
Well, what we'll do is tomorrow morning, I'm there normally about 6:30, call over. Give me the dates and times.
Yeah, I will.
So I can research that.
Okay,
But what you have to understand is we're gonna go to the warehouse so we can do a proper measurement because the lines are dictated how big a parking area has to be, okay? But I will tell you, we run into this all the time. The parking spot between the white line and the white line is adequate measurement per the requirement.
my white line is this thick.
I understand that, but the
You know,
point is,
out here, they're
for
blue and white.
restricted parking, the vehicle has to be physically within the containment of that white area, and it's not. But I understand you're having problems backing in, so like I said, we're gonna come over, you'll see me tomorrow and do a measurement.
But what is the law with parking 20 feet from a stop sign, a 4-way stop yet?
Well, that would be, that's what the chief is saying.
That's what I'm saying, I wanna come over, that we can do a measurement, and if it's within the 20 feet, that's
Okay.
totally different, because that comes under ordinance and also regulations where a line would have to be painted dictating that. So
Okay.
that's why I'm gonna come over
So
tomorrow.
I've been dealing with this for a while now,
No
and
problem.
my disabilities are only getting worse. Do you know what I mean? They're not getting better, and it's like I struggle all the time to come in and out of my parking spot, and I shouldn't have to do this.
Well, I understand it, and like I said, I'll be over probably after 7, I'll come over, like it's squirreling in the office, but you'll see me over there.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll see me over there.
And
Okay.
chief, please keep me up to date.
Yes, sir, no problem.
The council's information and the defense of the parking committee that the city has. Former Chief Tobias, along with the parking committee, had been there on more than one occasion. This chief of police and the parking committee has been there.
One occasion,
more than once.
when he yelled at me, one occasion you were there. Mr. Slater, you didn't even answer my calls when I contacted you.
Hi, my name's Christine Feast. I live at 819 East Clay, and I am here on her behalf because I've been with her from the time she moved into that place. This woman had back surgery. She had 2 neck surgeries. The second one where they put a rod in her neck down here. She had open heart surgery. She had pig's valves put in her heart. And now she just had a defibrillator put in her heart. I have been with her numerous times over the years on the struggle this woman has to get into a restricted parking lot that she pays for. If it was anybody else's family or loved ones that would have to go what she goes through to get into her parking lot, her spot, because sometimes she only has this much room here and here. The truck that used to park in front of there, when she first moved in there was no problem because nobody parked there. But since these other couples moved in here, they do it to her deliberately. And she should not have to struggle the way she struggles to get in and out of her restricted parking lot.
Well, we're gonna have the chief take a look at it and look. And
Well, that's why I said she don't know how to
Yeah, well, the chief.
converse on what she wants to try to get through. She gets too upset.
The department to do something, we'll do that.
But with her disabilities, like I said, she's 59 years old and had open heart surgery. She freaking had 2 neck operations, a back operation, and
she shouldn't have.
A heart attack, strokes.
We have rules and regulations we have to follow.
yes, I understand that, but she should be able to back up and pull out easy access, and she does not have that. I've been telling her for years, so that's why I came tonight on her behalf.
And we appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. Don't cry.
Mr. Sawyer, you ready?
I'm ready whenever you guys are.
Jesse, how many?
There's 4 packets there. I got the 5th one to give to whoever after I'm done talking.
Oh.
So Jesse Storm Brokers Realty, we manage a lot of real estate here in Shamokin. I was hoping to try and resolve this without having to come to a public meeting about it. Some of you have gotten copies of the emails that I've sent out. I know Mr. Slavey and a couple of the council members have been on this. But I've come in on 2 different occasions to try and pay the city of Shamokin for registration for rental properties to the tune of $900. And my check has been refused both times I came in. For the simple fact is, one, they demanded that I give them copies of photo ID. I'm not the police, I'm a property manager, and I'm required to delete that information as soon as I verify that the information the prospective tenant gave me isn't fraud. Once I've verified that the information they gave me is not fraud, I'm required to destroy that information. I can't hold it year after year after year. You guys were given this information on tenants already. The information is not in the files no longer. We did spot check files downstairs. The information's been thrown away. It's gone. I can't keep reproducing something that I'm not allowed to keep. By me giving you somebody's photo ID, giving you copies of their photo ID, I'm committing identity theft by giving you something that is not mine to give. They never gave me the permission to use it to give to the city. And as you can see in this packet, Mount Carmel, our neighbor, also requires the same information that you guys want, And they have a form in their packet for rental that they fill out and they sign and they acknowledge and they give their driver's license ID, they give their personal information. I think they even ask for a social security number on there. That's all information you can ask a tenant and the tenant can provide to you. I can't give you somebody's social security number. I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed to give you their ID. That's not for me. We're not an ID first state. So it's a major issue. I've been told by PennDOT, and actually tomorrow is and Wednesday is my inspection from PennDOT now, because I called and asked the question of, am I allowed to save ID from tenants and provide them to the city of Shamokin? And they said, no, by no means are you allowed to do that. We want to come out to your office, inspect your real estate office, make sure you're not holding ID. So PennDOT's now coming to do the audit on my office. Second part of it is insurance. I sent you guys all the information on the state law on insurance, that you are allowed to require fire and casualty insurance. The state does that. The state also is the one that mandates that the insurance company send you X amount of dollars per $1,000 of insurance they have. You guys don't have the right to set a $75,000 number on insurance because you're not insurance claims or an insurance adjuster. Unless you're in the insurance business, they're the folks that set how much insurance somebody can get. So I spoke with 3 different insurance companies that myself and my other clients use. And on some of those properties, those insurance adjusters have said, if the property's fair market value and rebuild cost is $40,000, and we tell you that we're insuring for $40,000, yes, we'll insure it for $70,000. You're going to pay the difference of the premium. But if God forsaken happens and the place burns down and fair market value is $40,000, we're cutting a check for $40,000. So the question would be, is the city of Shamokin, that once that overage, it's never going to get paid if there is a fire or something happens, is the city of Shamokin going to refund these owners on that lost revenue that they're paying for additional insurance that can never be foreseen? Because you're requiring something more than what the insurance company is saying fair market value is on the property. So, that would be like taking your home. If your home's valued at $250,000 and having the city say, well, we want an insurance policy for $500,000 on that home. Your house burns down, your insurance company's going to pay you a fair market value, $250,000. Under the current insurance law legislation in the state of Pennsylvania, if they pay out $250,000 on that fire, the city is going to get X amount of dollars out of that. I think it's $1,000 per 10,000 or however it was, but I sent you the copy of the Pennsylvania law on the whole thing. That also already stipulates that the city is certified because you're the municipality. You're certified on the insurance. The insurance carrier, before they pay out a fire claim, has to contact the city, the tax bureau, to make sure that there's no debts and there's no monies that are outstanding on that property before they pay $1 out to the insurer.
Right, but
So
that's a little bit different. But at the same time, I do think we have the legal right to be able to set limits. Now, I would be the first to agree if the property is not worth it, okay, and they cannot get the insurance for it, then we may have to readdress that part of it. And we did discuss this, and we are going to look at that. We just haven't had an opportunity to be able to get that and finalize it. I can't speak for what happens when you come in. I don't see any reason why we can't accept a check and work on the rest of that at that point. But at the same time, I'll let that up to the solicitor.
We've talked about it, as long as you're the one that's certifying these are the individuals that are living there, the police also need to know, the code officer needs to know how many residents are in there.
Yeah, and we fill out these forms every year. They're nice and tight. It's clean, easy to read. It says, and it's a repeat of everything, just like that lady up on South Shamokin or North Shamokin Street. She's lived there for 8 years. It's been the same information. When we pulled her file, I know I've provided the city insurance twice on that property. We have records and communication of her coming in and having her photo ID copied to the city of Shamokin. And then my follow-up email with the city of Shamokin secretary, which isn't the lady that we've got now. It was 4 people ago when it was the last time it was done. None of those driver's licenses are in her folder. None of our insurance is in that folder. So my question to you is where is our confidential information, since it was provided to the city of Shamokin?
Okay, so we'll try to get you the answers. We are actively working on the insurance amount.
Okay, that has been discussed.
I'm willing to come in again and try and get you guys the check and your registration forms, so that way we're solid on payment. If you guys are willing to forego fining for not having this other stuff done until we satisfy that information.
Well, Mr. Greco answered your question on the photo ID. We do not need copies of that. He said that as long as you're certifying that those people were there, then according to our solicitor, that's fine. So he's in agreement with that.
What am I certifying their driver's license ID, state license ID, or am I just certifying that their names? Because I mean, on this form,
You're
it's,
certifying that you identify your.
They are who they say they are.
Exactly. And you used Pennsylvania driver's license, Pennsylvania photo identification card, whatever it is to verify, that's what you're certifying.
okay, so I don't need to give you a copy of the number. I'm just saying that Anthony Roten lives at this address, which is on your form already. Is that
And you
correct?
verify.
Yes.
Yes.
And Anthony Roten and his wife and kids, so when the police or code go there and 15 people are there saying they live there,
Right.
it's like, no, show me ID, then they can do that.
And then at that point, that's considered a false stop.
Yes, yeah, so that's what we're trying to fix.
I would be the first to tell you, I think some of the paperwork needs to be revamped. And we didn't do a very good job on the insurance part. With that kind of came at the very end of the year. We weren't prepared for it properly, is what it comes down to. We weren't prepared for it properly. Rushed that to get it out, and what we probably should have done better.
Mount Carmel's packets, I brought this in here over the years, Mr. Slavy, probably 8 times over the years, and asked you guys to kind of look at this and adopt something similar to this.
But we most certainly are gonna get to the bottom. I think that we'll get to the bottom.
I'd appreciate it. I mean, because like I say, I even created a form for you guys that I created for Lancaster County, and nothing's ever been done. Nothing's been changed. These forms have been the same forms for years, just changing the.
And I understand that, but we are most certainly trying.
I hear what you're saying, okay, but in all fairness to others, there may be somebody in the audience that still wants to come up, and my clock says we're at 9 minutes.
I've always been told that if council was speaking to you and responding and you had an open dialogue, that you were allowed to continue. So thank you for shutting me down again. And I thank you for changing the roles for Jesse and Joe again.
Anyone else, citizens comments? Okay. There be no further business. Adjourning the meeting.